Hello again!
Hello.
You were a little early. We do it after this one. Okay, now do it.
Sorry.
Hello again.
Hello.
Hello. What's up?
Hey.
Hey.
Welcome to You Do Not Even Know. Hello, Connor.
Hello.
This is our show.
This is your vocabulary lesson for the week.
Would have been better if you pronounced all those words well.
Yeah. Schooling.
Yeah. How's everybody doing?
What?
I thought prior to now that I had been the most embarrassed I would ever be.
Okay.
I thought for positive, the person who had in the front row of youth group sat on a bean burrito on his light jean khakis.
Was that your most embarrassing moment?
I thought the person who had a bug up their pants and ripped them off at work in front of adults was the most embarrassed he could ever be. I thought the person who couldn't find the light switch in the back of a bus, so he opened the window a little bit too wide before he started using the restroom and basically exposed himself to all of a foreign country. I thought that the person who almost shot himself with a dummy round was the most embarrassed he could ever be.
That's not very embarrassing. That was just stupid.
That was embarrassing.
That was embarrassing for you?
Yeah.
It should be embarrassing looking back.
I was pretty embarrassed.
That was
like,
dumb.
Did you have friends
really-
here? It was just us.
I really,
He was still embarrassed.
it really hurt my heart.
Why do you get embarrassed so much?
I thought the person who kicked their own father in his nether regions was the most embarrassed
That was embarrassing?
he could ever. That was embarrassing.
You get embarrassed a lot.
I am embarrassed.
He just recapped like our whole show. The past like 3 years, he just went through like all the stories.
Let's
So,
just cover everything.
if you're missing any of those information,
That
go
was
back.
a hot recap right there.
Start from the beginning. So why are you embarrassed now?
So, you know how I have sworn by the fact that despite the, on a very real level, I can't pronounce anything to save my life in real time. I need at least 2 or 3 tries to get a word out.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, in spite of that
Uh-huh.
little, we'll say quirk, I've always prided myself on being, I don't know, let's use really tame language. I've prided myself on being the God Emperor Trump of being able to talk my way out of anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Justin has always claimed the communication. I can communicate out of anything and into anything.
Yeah. So
That's his major.
and
is
that's really
communication.
been the talking point. I would say that's largely been the mythos that we've worked really hard here to create, to shape.
Yes.
To form in the young hearts and minds of the next generation.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you do speaking good.
Yeah, I do the speaking good. So when I'm not, so what happened was, if you'll recall from several weeks ago,
Yeah.
I committed to do somebody's wedding
I do remember. We
as
did
the
talk about
officiant.
this.
Yes.
And I could not have been more charged and juiced
Yeah.
and ready and amped to do this. I said,
Because you got ordained, right?
yes, I did get, I'm
Ordained.
ordinary now.
That's
So,
ordained.
sorry. And now that I am ordinary, I said, I'm going to do this thing. And about 72-ish hours before the wedding was about to take place, I'm like, I think I need to figure out what I'm going to say
How
more
long-
than
wait,
just like,
How long did you have in advance when they said, "Hey, Justin, can you be our pastor?
I
Can
knew
you do the ceremony?"
It was at least 3 months.
there was some talking points that I wanted to make sure I hit. You know, I knew I wanted to talk about how, you know, you just need to forgive each other and like shut up about the little stuff and everything. But as far as the like meat and potatoes and everything, how they always read, you know, they said we want it to be very like very good. You know, they gave me some basic skeleton points that they wanted me to hit.
Yeah, like vows and
Yeah,
All the legal jargon.
Yeah.
So they did all that stuff, and I'm like, all right. So I get on the Universal Life Church website, and I said, download template. And I download the template, and I have multiple readings of this on my iPhone because all I did was just sit there and read it, record myself, and then listen to myself like
Do you have those?
100 times.
Okay.
Okay. And when I'm listening to it, I have always hated ever since I gave the valedictory speech at my high school graduation, and the principal told me that if I went like one letter off of script that I would not graduate.
Nice.
So I have never ever liked
Sounds like
scripted.
communism to me.
Doesn't sound like the America I know.
Yeah, that's America. Where's my Constitution?
So I threw my First Amendment around, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this thing. And my wife tells me, she's like, you should probably read it out loud to us. And I'm like, no, I'm really shy. And just reading it was so stoic and wooden. And I'm like, I just don't like all of this overly stilted. Like, it's just, the wedding that you've heard 3,000 times.
Well, yeah.
And then you're just like, and you just kind of tune out, and you're just kind of like looking around. And so for those of you that don't already know this, I have some of the ADHDs. How many letters? I have some of the ADHDs. So I have that thing, and I don't like the half-hour boring wedding because about 2 minutes into it, I'm out of here, and I'm like...
There's a lot of good things being said.
How much of your own wedding did you hear?
Some.
Percentage-wise.
Who was there?
Who officiated your wedding?
Nathan.
Okay.
Okay, so we do remember some.
Yep.
Okay.
Some.
I remember the part when my wife cried. That was cool. I was like, nice.
Do you remember the part when you cried?
I just kind of...
I remember that part because I was your photographer.
I just heard like this ringing in my head when I just like slapped the mother of the bride's phone out of her hand. And then in an airplane hangar, I just hear clack, 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 clack.
It was an accident. You were giving her a hug.
The slap that rang around
Why
the
was
world.
she holding her phone?
She had her phone in her hand, and then she did not by way of my action. So I walk in there, and I'm like, it's the day of the wedding. Yep. And my wife looks me in the eyeballs, and she says, look at me. Largate. Escúchame. And she goes, you need to read it because you're going to do terribly.
How does she know this?
And you're going to bite balls if you do this on your own, just by memory.
Can you use another?
You're going to just eat it and crash and burn if you if you try and do this on your own.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, I got this. Because I, the drinker of my own Kool-Aid,
yes,
the god of thunder Thor, shall throw my lightning bolt of communication and crash it upon the earth.
You've had like 3 years worth of podcasts to practice talking into a microphone.
Yes, if there's any time where if there's any time where I'm like, you know what does Justin have to do? Well, he's got to talk about stuff. Okay, fine. Like, how many meetings have I gone to and I just vamp for an hour?
But
and I'm like, Justin is the most impressive speaker in the world.
The difference between the meetings and our podcast versus a wedding, there's certain things you have to say in a certain way.
And then when Josiah texted me, he's like, how'd you do? Josiah even thought I read it like a robot.
When did I say that?
You just texted me a picture of a robot because you have no faith in me.
Yeah,
was I wrong?
So after plugging myself in to record this wonderful event, and then after I basically spent the morning with the groom, so we got ready together.
That's cute.
And then I teased the groom about, like, the father of the bride came over, and he was in there at the time, and then the photographer says, "We'll make the groom laugh." So. Like, obviously the groom and the father of the bride are in the same room, so I made jokes about intercourse, and then just to lighten the mood, and he and you know he lightened up and everything.
It's
and it
nice
really,
when your pastor is making jokes about intercourse.
They're married.
Well, they're not yet.
Well, but they will be next time they see each other.
Yes. Okay. But
so what happened is I go up there after being warned repeatedly, and I actually told the bride that night, I'm like, please lower your expectation, because I could kind of feel it like creeping into me.
Yeah.
Like those little tingles and jingles in the back of your head. Like
it was the nerves.
You could just feel you're an idiot. You can't do this. You know? And and you would like to think of that as like cold feet or something, but it was just like facts in my head speaking to me. You're going to ruin everything. And I'm like,
how many times have you been on a stage in front of people talking?
But then the front, my id, right, my the me that has just like crushed his way through any conversation ever is like, we're gonna kill this thing.
Yeah.
So I of course, with all of the confidence in the world, pull up exactly what I had written down and read 900 times to myself on my phone and crank up the brightness so I could read it. And then I put it in there, just like in between the pages. And I'm like, okay, we're going to wear a diaper, guys. And then we're about to go up.
What diaper did you wear? I was
reading it would be like the diaper that catches the giant.
You went for it and you read it word for word.
He had training wheels.
So what happens is I'm about to go up, and then a bird, like my wife walks up to me to tell me that I'm going to fail if I don't read it one last time. She's like, hey, don't do this. You can't do it. And I'm like, thank you for having faith in me. And she's like, you're really going to destroy everything if you don't read it. And so...
Well, you never gave her the opportunity to hear it live in the first place.
Well, no, I'd read it to her a couple times.
You read it to her. Wait, did you practice in an audience?
So what happens is we're about to go up. It's the day of the wedding. Everybody looks beautiful, and everything is wonderful, and we've all finally waited this whole time. And then the sun is starting to set, so we need to like go like nowish, because it's an outdoor wedding and it's the winter, so we have like, you know, it's 4, so the sun is like it's at like,
well, the sunsets at 4:30.
Yeah, the sun is cresting and everything, and they're like, okay, we need to go. And right as we're about to just walk out as a group, as a cast, like a bird, a pelican, some kind of condor or large avian fowl defecates onto my wife's face. It ricochets off of her forehead and onto my pants. It diagonals at 30 degrees.
No, it didn't.
Right there. So I have this giant white bird squeech. Just down my leg.
The bird was just trying to help take the edge off. You know, give you something to laugh about before you go up there.
If I ever needed anything to rattle me, I had 12 inches of just white spray down my leg.
Shoes too?
Right there. He did not get on my shoes, which, mind you, these were not as lucky shoes. You could understand why my confidence was so depleted initially, because I was wearing my less lucky black Onitsuka Tigers with yellow stripes, as opposed to my incredibly lucky yellow with black stripe Onitsuka Tigers, which I have worn to every single meeting I have crushed. So
that's because they're just like,
I'm already wearing
this
my
yellow shoes,
less lucky shoes. Okay, so my power level was already under 9,000. Okay, and then giant foot-long bird turd. Okay, just like, and then the coordinator looks at me. 30 seconds after that happens, it goes, we gotta go. I'm like, giant feces.
Do you have a napkin?
Yeah, do you? And she was like, no, just kind of flick it with your, and I'm like, you know, they have diseases. And she's like, just head out there. Like the bride's ready. We gotta go right now. There's no sun, right?
The earth is still moving.
So I go up there, and I walk up there, and the orientation that I held the Bible at with my phone inside of it turned the notes sideways. And I open it up and it's sideways and it won't tip back. So
you didn't lock the orientation.
Right there. Well, because I'm stupid and I assumed that I could talk my way out of everything. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You're not stupid. You just have never done this before.
Yes, and I had like 3 punch bowls of my own Kool-Aid the day before, just psyching myself into believing that I could actually do this.
And there was more than 10 people looking at him at the same time.
What has just believing ever done for anyone?
Then after I look at my Bible, can't read it sideways. It jumped to the middle of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
On your Bible.
And I'm not going to sit there sifting through this thing to try and correct it. Yeah. So what do? I say, you know what? Let's go. Let's just shut up and go because I can do this.
Got to do the iPad.
Then this horrifying nightmare comes out of my body.
So this is where I play the recording?
I get the first 2 lines that I memorized out, and then my brain goes entirely the most
Where did it go?
Blank it has ever been. I look at the bride and I look at the groom. I'm like, I have no idea what to say. I couldn't tell you your names is right now.
Okay.
I get through 2 lines and you'll just hear.
Are you going to play it for us?
You will hear the sound.
We get to listen.
Of his brain disappearing.
Of just evaporating through my fingers in spite of every other time I've just been,
gosh.
I throw my Mjolnir down my just club of speech, and it just my word hammer, my club,
There's another synonym.
my oratorial.
There's another one in there.
Mastery.
There's the third one. There we go.
Left me.
Yep.
That day. So if you've ever seen, have you ever seen the episode of Winnie the Pooh when Tigger gets stuck in the tree?
Yes.
And then he tells Rabbit, he's like, I'm never going to bounce again. And he just walks away with his tail down because he never wants to bounce again.
Can you do a Tigger voice?
I'm going to tell you, no, but Big Bird died.
Big Bird died? The voice of Big Bird?
The voice of Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch, which I think is a nice blend.
They were, wait, what?
Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch is the same guy.
It's the same guy?
Yeah, but he just died.
They would talk to each other, wouldn't they?
Yeah, he talked to himself.
Jordan, it's acting. Like Ryan Reynolds has talked to Deadpool.
Yeah.
But don't they operate the voices?
They actually have somebody else do the hand thing on the other guy while they're talking, and it's fine.
Really?
Anyway.
Blew my mind.
But I can honestly tell you that...
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm just sitting there. I just go full gourd. I'm like, well, I guess, Junior, we're just gonna totally destroy somebody else's wedding, like right now. And that's the sound I hear in my brain. I'm like, you've actually ruined it. And
I mean,
as soon as you freeze, as soon as the pastor just has the fear of life in his eyes and goes,
But that would have been a perfect moment for like a little play, like, hang on, I forgot what I'm supposed to say. Let me get my phone. Okay, here we go.
You gotta like...
but I'm too stupid and prideful.
Lean into it.
Yeah. That's true. And then, but when do you start going from to I'm just going to read this, guys, and then say, and do you, Chris, take you. What? Hang on.
Well, I guess we'll see which one would have been better.
Yeah.
Always have the backup paper. You have the iPad, and then you have the backup paper.
I had 2 terrible options, so this happened.
Here we go. Hang on. I haven't played this yet, so...
Oh, this is my actual nightmare. This is like reliving the worst. You're listening to the end.
This is like the Minecraft music right before you fall
Everybody
in the lava.
who knew me before this moment knows.
Very well.
What happened?
I don't think he started yet. I think he's about to.
Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today to witness a literal miracle. In apparently more ways than one. The stitching together of 2 souls. The marriage of Chris and Leanne. And we're gonna... and really, we've witnessed your relationship grow. And
I love that you knows.
Mutual love and respect. And we've just seen you 2 go from, just meeting each other to all the way to right here, about to take the next stage of your lives together and wed together in holy matrimony for all eternity. And if really there's only one thing that we learn together,
Most of it's not even words.
It's that, quite honestly, people aren't perfect, and you're never going to find perfection in each other. You're
This is
never
the
going to be able
fastest
to,
I've ever heard a pastor
fulfill
go through
100% of each other because people are flawed. But ultimately, we all rely on the infinite love of our Holy Savior that both gives us the patience and long suffering to share with each other, so that when inevitable troubles happen and we have, dinner catches on fire or somebody gets home late at 10 o'clock from the office, and it just really so we can show
sweating
that
right now.
because Jesus gives us that patience to share with each other. We're going to have to just pass it right
How
along.
many
to our
you-knows have we
spouse.
had so far?
That's
So Chris,
20?
you're going to have to love Leanne enough to put the seat down. Leanne, you're going to have to love Chris enough to put the seat up.
Not a lot of laughter on that one.
No.
Yeah, no.
So really, it's
No-
just it's
no one-
through those,
women do
those
not like-
bonds that we
They
have
don't- they
with
don't
each
really
other,
care
where
for
we
the-
just get closer
seat
as
up,
we get
yeah.
closer to God. We get closer
get one
to
man
each other,
that's like, and then he
it's
gets
just
elbowed.
This continual evolution together. So now
I thought
we
there was going to
have-
be some reciprocity.
Not in 2019. What happened?
Where'd you go?
All right.
Is this when you were finding your phone?
Oh, no, the rings.
So
we're actually doing the
we
rings
say-
now. We're already
now
at
for
the rings.
vows.
How would we know that?
So you may now take each other's hands.
That was
we're
the
gonna
shortest
do Chris first. Okay.
pastor
Because-
speech
You're gonna
ever.
repeat after me.
I'm actually
Chris,
having like flop sweat right
take
now,
you,
just
Leanne,
listening to myself
To be my
die.
lawfully
Are
wedded
you reading
wife,
anything now?
To have
No,
and to
this
hold
I'm actually like just.
in
From memory.
sickness
I
and
knew this
health,
part.
In richer for poor,
Oh, I thought you were gonna forget that
until death do us part. Excellent. Leanne, now your turn.
one. Just like
I, Leanne, take you, Chris,
It was like
to
hurting
be my
my
lawfully
body.
wedded husband. For richer or for poorer,
You could hear
in
me
sickness and in
hyperventilate.
health, until death do us part. Awesome. These two rings that we
was-
have here.
so fast.
Yep.
Gold, eternal, and pure.
It's like you're
just like the love
trying to
between
run
you
a
two.
race. It's like you think you're up against like there's another wedding across the hall that you're trying to
It
beat.
was just so awful
very
that I was
simple.
trying to get away
You're gonna
from
take
my
this
own
ring?
being. I'm like,
Huh? You're gonna-
It's like the
Oh,
first
help
wedding.
me.
We only have one
Put it on the
reception
hand.
venue, and the first wedding done gets
oh,
it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that's a wedding. We got this one. Goes on their left hand.
they were
Okay.
they were half an hour
So,
late starting,
Chris,
and they
you're
were
gonna take your
15
ring,
minutes
you're gonna
early.
say,
Ahead of schedule.
Ahead of
After the-
schedule.
After the
I
ceremony.
thee wed.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so you really
Okay,
did him a
Leanne?
favor.
Oh,
Take
wedding
the ring and
contract.
say, with this ring, I thee wed.
see, I got through that stuff, and I
Awesome.
think once
Beautiful.
towards the end here, I actually started to get my groove
So
a little
the
bit more.
couple's first
Yeah, it sounds like you're
act
breathing
as
and,
a
like,
married couple
thinking about
will
words.
be to
Yeah,
take a
but it was
full
just those
communion
initial.
This is all the memorized
together.
part,
And
not the
they're gonna take a
emotional
minute
part.
to do
Yeah,
that
but
right
just
now.
that initial like
Justin tried to tap
4
into
minutes
his emotional
of
side.
heck. So this was kind of an intermission, I suppose.
Yeah. Shoot. Shoot.
Do you do more words here in a second?
Do you dance right now?
No.
What are you actually doing right now?
I
you
was
doing
so
with-
thankful that I didn't have to be speaking right now because I had already ruined everything that had come out of my body for the
Yep.
past.
At what point did
20
you know?
minutes.
At what point did you know that it was going down, or
And
that it
now.
went down?
Right after the stitching
By the
together of
power
two
of God and the
souls,
state
I
of
said,
California, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
yeah.
You did-
Honestly,
Wait,
towards
can
the
you
end.
rewind it a little bit, just
All right.
Sure.
just to that part?
All right.
All right.
And now,
All right.
by the power of God and the state of California, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
Okay, you did all
So
the right words.
I didn't totally torch.
No, they're legally
like,
married.
The ring
Now,
exchange and the.
introducing for the first time ever, world first, people,
right, we can stop
Mr. and
it.
Mrs.
Are you sure?
Salgado.
Yep.
So those first, I basically open. I have 2 lines memorized. I
Great two
trip
lines, by
over
the way.
myself.
Huge 2 lines.
I destroy my own like the image I have built for myself in my own head is now dead.
That's so good.
I don't like or believe that I am capable of anything.
I'm surprised you showed up today.
Ever again. Yeah, honestly.
How
I didn't
are you
want
even doing this?
Yeah.
I don't look people in the eye. I don't even make eye contact anymore. And
have you burned those shoes now?
I have been told by the person who I married at least 35-ish times that I should have just read it like a tool. Because I was mulling it over.
Most pastors do just read it.
And then
it's a pretty easy thing to just read.
We're walking to the car, and the father of the bride was like, "Why didn't you just read it?"
Ouch.
He's like, so I've been, I would say, gut punched.
That's good.
More than a handful of times over my own hubris, self-confidence, arrogance.
I mean, so really me asking how to go with a robot emoji
was really incorrect.
It was super inaccurate.
Yeah, you thought that I was going to commit and have the audacity to just read the most mundane thing and just do it like everybody else has.
Yeah.
But instead of that, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to read because that would be inorganic. I want to organically fail.
No. See,
so colossally bad.
Here's the thing. People always think that, if I'm spontaneous, that must be like, this is organic. No. I could have been organic in what I'm writing down and planning. People get these two mixed up and go, okay, no, I want to be organic. You spent time pulling.
Hey, you wrote all those words already. You didn't need to rethink the words that you already wrote.
No, I had written and read, and I took the template, I rewrote it, I made it my own. I mean, I had
why didn't you just read that?
I had read aloud a solid 8-minute cohesive, run through.
That was just at the beginning.
What?
The 8 minutes that it was you practiced.
No, that was the whole thing.
Well, this really was only 5 minutes.
That was 5 minutes.
It was a 7-minute long recording, but there was like a minute at the end and about 30 seconds at the beginning.
Goodness.
And then they had at least a 45-second communion in there.
So your initial speech at the beginning should
was
have
like
been
3 minutes long.
Yes.
Wow.
And
I shaved off 5 minutes.
It was the deftest self-immolation I have ever. I don't even like myself anymore. Like, whenever people say you could do anything, and when Mr. Rogers said you're special, totally bought into that. Never again.
You were very special.
I believe that I am completely incapable of doing anything correctly ever.
So here's the thing.
How are you going to do a meeting at work?
Yeah. Did you burn your...
I'm not, ever again.
Did you burn your shoes?
I will clip my own wings.
So here's the thing about that. Justin spends 40 hours a week.
I can't look in the mirror. I have removed my bathroom mirror.
Justin spends 40 hours a week at work studying the product and what he's going to say. Justin spends 40 hours a week listening to podcasts about Marvel and Star Wars.
All the time. Do you guys want to hear about Star Wars?
Constantly. No, not this week. We'll take a break from that. And then...
I would rather...
So how long... I will do the hours...
I actually feel a sinking feeling in my chest just discussing this with you guys.
So how long... Justin's a big advocate for hours logged. How long did you think or practice this speech?
Well, I was going over the more organic parts that I wanted to say for the past, 2 weeks prior, and then the week prior.
How long per day in those 2 weeks?
Well, I basically spent an hour in a day. What I did was I listened to other people read theirs. So because it's all the same skeleton.
Yes.
And there are lots of people on YouTube. I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to YouTube where I know everything about Star Wars.
Everyone has their wedding video.
And I listened to YouTube videos of somebody who's done this 1,000 times, give you tips and pointers on how to do it and everything.
Yeah.
And I got it all tight and everything. So I had my skeleton from the website, and I had his advice and everything. And then I had the stuff that kind of, like, I didn't want to leave anything just the template way, so I just kind of rewrote it and made it my own.
Yeah, of course.
And it was this really tight, wonderful, like, because I'm much more, cohesive, coherent, and cogent when I'm in writing than just live.
Yes, of
because
course.
I can get all those words put together. So I put that 8 minutes together, and I'm like, this is it. And then for, I would say, 5 days before, maybe 4, I listened, I read it, I recorded myself listening to myself, saying it, recording to myself. I mean, I just was on a my work day.
How many hours of total?
So I would say, because I spent, like, that was my radio, was me reading it during the workday. I have heard that 8-minute speech for, I would say, at least 50 hours.
So
I listened to 50 hours of me speaking.
Only 50 hours of prep. But how long do you think?
But see, everything else I've ever said in my life, I've prepped 0.
No, that's not true. Because when you go into a work meeting, you prep at least for a week, and that's 40 hours, on top of all the knowledge you got for years before that. So, and that's 1 week's worth of knowledge. But every meeting you do for work, you have hundreds of weeks of prep.
Understanding. See, now we're in hindsight territory where I understand that I am the worst person in the world.
I'm saying you're not the worst person. I'm saying you didn't have enough hours logged. So I'm saying if you ever went to do it again, you should.
Well, I actually memorized in drama in high school.
Mm-hmm. You took extra class.
There was a 20
Oh my
minute.
gosh, get some words out, boy.
There was a 20-minute drama that we were doing.
Wow.
And I was the lead.
That's a long one.
And I knew a tiny bit of it. And on the way home from Magic Mountain, I memorized the entire 20 minutes and then read it flawlessly, like didn't mess up my lines at all.
Memorized, not read it, but memorized.
I memorized. I didn't have my paper up on stage. So
do you think it's because you had a crutch on stage, or do you think it's because you were just not focused?
I'm saying I have literally, in an hour and a half, memorized a good 20-minute chunk of reading.
Yeah.
And I had 50 hours of an 8-minute go-through.
Do you think you just nerved yourself out, is what I'm saying?
Probably.
Like, you probably have it in there. Like, you could probably say it to us now.
When I was riding home from church, I just... something came up on the radio where they said "Dearly Beloved" or something, like a commercial triggered me, and I just started reading my 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I'm like, you know what? I could do it now.
That's what I'm saying. You can do it now.
When life and death aren't on the line.
Well, you should have Britney Spears it and just pre-recorded yourself and just played the recording.
But instead,
with it.
Who's Jessica Simpson's little sister?
Ashley.
Instead, I Ashley Simpson on SNL did. And when I heard my voice coming out of the pre-recorded track before I raised the microphone to my lips,
nice.
I just kind of danced and walked off stage. So, and then I asked a guest, I said, have you ever seen somebody drown before? And she said, I actually just saw that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I don't really think that we need to, I guess, relitigate how awful a person I am.
I'm not saying you're an awful person. I'm just saying you didn't have enough.
I disagree
practice.
that. I think he had more than enough practice. I think he had too much practice. I think he would have been better off spending about half that much time practicing it, and then
in front of people.
In front of people, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been good of him to just come read it to us into a microphone. Really lean into it. And also, my top tip for anyone doing something like this that's making them a little bit nervous, lean into it. Lean into how nervous you are. When you get up on stage and you have the shakes, the first thing out of your mouth needs to be something along the lines of, boy, am I nervous right now. Here we go. You know, you just gotta lean the heck into it.
I'm
and
like
then
having
it's fine.
post-traumatic stress right now. So that on top of everything else that has happened to me ever, lifetime total, I now, Tigger, will never bounce again. If anybody ever asks me, if somebody says,
gosh.
Justin, would you like to speak aloud?
So what are you
Ever.
What are you gonna do for work now?
This is actually pre-recorded from before the wedding. I'm not actually speaking now.
We just had enough clips of Justin that we're just cutting it all together.
I like the border collies that barked too much next door and had their vocal cords removed. I am actually scheduling my appointment to have my vocal cords removed so the abomination that is my voice can never be inflicted upon the world ever again.
Justin's just gonna be a coal miner.
Yes, I am going to hide in a ditch and be a monk in a mountain and just not speak to anyone because that speaking is clearly a mistake.
A
Well-
ditch in a mountain.
I mean, hey, you've been a pastor at a wedding.
Yep.
Yes.
We have not.
You have that on us.
And okay, so Justin, I would say.
So here's what I would say. I would say, Jordan, Josiah, here's your homework. You guys ordinary some weddings, and then you tell me.
No,
then
no.
we'll do a death match.
No, here's what I was gonna say.
Do better.
No, I was gonna say you should keep trying,
Yeah.
keep at it, right?
Yeah.
And then also, I won't do it.
I think you should.
I won't do it because I know my wheelhouse and have never said I am a good communicator.
Oh, I don't say that about myself anymore. That is over.
Finally got down to our level.
That is the last time.
Welcome to the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am now I am the new Josiah. Okay.
Nice.
Well, geez, come on.
Nice.
I'm-
Sick burn.
Apparently much better than you at being on stage. I used
So
to be on
much.
stage for a living.
Yeah. You are so much better than me.
So,
Yes.
just trying to move on now.
Okay.
Yeah,
go ahead.
That's enough talking about Justin's
Yeah.
terrible job of doing someone's
let's
wedding.
let's never speak of this again.
So, because we were such a fan on Disney Plus before it came out, and it's not that we're not a fan and not subscribing to Disney Plus, but
Are you trying to rip on Disney Plus right now?
No, I'm only a little bit. But because I don't have a lot of content, is what I'm saying. But
Well, what did you think they were going to have? They have everything that they have.
I thought they would have more Fox stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought they would have everything.
Oh, that's called
even,
Hulu.
Even Disney stuff, they don't have everything. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But
But we talked about that last time.
yes, I understand that.
So what there is
What
on
there-
the amazing platform of Disney Plus is the colossally underwhelming failure of a 90-minute music video known as Tron 2006, or
Well,
Tron Legacy for short.
I liked it.
Well, that's
Because
and that's
of
true.
the soundtrack.
But the reason they didn't make a sequel to Tron Legacy 2006 is because
it was a sequel.
it did poorly and the lead actor cannot. So,
All I remember is the soundtrack.
exactly. And for a 90-minute music video, it's good. But for a piece of cinema where you have like the hero's journey and you have the leading male, the breeding pair and everything.
I don't
people
remember
that-
any of that.
Okay. The problem with Tron is that his dialogue is almost nearly as bad as my wedding that I just gave. And that is why if he could
All I
read
remember is the
if he could
soundtrack.
read a line like he wasn't reading a line, then we would have Tron Legacy 2, the movie. And I recently tuned back in because there's 4 things to watch on Disney Plus, and I was like, let's give Tron another chance. You know, let's rewatch.
Do they have the original Tron on there?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay. It'll go in the vault in like a second, but
So I tune in and I noticed some things that I didn't notice previously. When I watched it originally, and if you know how they all have a disc on, right?
Yeah.
And that's like all of your memories and experiences and thoughts and everything. And the disc is actually on the back of.
Don't they throw that?
It's like where your neck meets your shoulders.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought they threw that as a weapon.
Exactly.
But it's a memory? I didn't know it was a memory.
Well, that's why they're after Jeff Bridges is. That's why Jeff Bridges is. That's why plastic Jeff Bridges is after Flesh and Blood Jeff Bridges' disc.
Yes.
Because if he gets that disc, he has all of the information and programming knowledge to get himself out. That's like his brain that knows how to do that.
It's all coming back now.
Okay.
It's been so long.
So if you have somebody else's disc, you have everything that's in their head. So what happened is, you know how the disc is mounted?
Yeah.
Like where your shoulders meets your neck.
It's like a cartridge.
That is where, if you look at like the
Matrix?
maybe the Matrix goes into the back of your head.
Oh, okay.
So if
Too far up.
if you watch like those diagrams of the human body where they show like all your chakras and everything.
Yeah, what do they call that guy? The guy with the arms that like are in 3 different places?
Yeah, that's actually Da Vinci's schematic of a man.
Yeah. Are you talking about that one?
No, there's like the 9 chakra portals that like release your energy and stuff.
Never seen that one.
Okay, so basically in Jewish mysticism and in a lot of different Eastern religions, that's where your soul is right at the base of your neck where your shoulders are.
Okay.
So in a whole
It's
bunch
near
of
your
different
heart.
works of fiction, your soul is that nexus of energy inside of you is right there.
Okay.
So I thought that was a nice touch that they put your disc, which was like the core of everything that you are.
You don't think it was just
Right
for
there.
the suits that you can grab it and throw it easy? Like a
But
sword?
well, first of all, a disc is an awful weapon, and like a frisbee is an awful weapon.
Oh, it is.
I'm saying
but it's easy for them to toss around.
but
right?
it's
It's like when you have a bow and arrow back there.
But
You
they
don't get
didn't-
excited that
they
your,
didn't put
that
it
your
right here up
arrows
on
are.
the front of you
No,
where you
no.
could get to it.
That's all the weapons go back here.
Yeah,
A sword,
your
bow and arrow.
arrows, and we don't get excited that your
Boomerangs.
arrows are next to your chakras.
Yeah. It's just somewhere your legs aren't going to hit.
I'm saying they put the center of all your memories and identity and who you are as a thing right where your soul sits.
All right.
So
Okay. Why is
and-
this interesting?
Well, because
What's the other thing you saw?
because
that
I
was
didn't know
interesting?
they had little Easter eggs in there about
I
Tron
don't
and
think
stuff.
that's a little Easter egg.
I think they
that's
were trying to make that the machine's soul.
All right.
don't think
Well, what's
so.
the other
Okay.
interesting thing?
So, and then you take your what do you do with your disc? Your disc is what you use to.
It's a weapon.
So, if you have you ever heard of the Hedgehog's Dilemma?
No.
No. Is
If-
that like Sonic?
The Hedgehog's Dilemma is a philosophical concept that as hedgehogs are in their den for the winter, that if the closer they huddle together for warmth, the more they stab each other with their spines. But if they don't huddle together, they freeze to death.
Oh.
So
Why don't they just go face to face instead of butt to butt?
No, they go side to side.
They're hedgehogs. They're not bright. Anyway, so in Tron, you have like for instance, the closer we get to each other, the more likely we are to damage each other. So you have the most damaging thing in the world in Tron is the thing that is your very soul. So you're just casting it out. It's
But why would you throw that around? Why don't you just like not throw it?
exactly. Why would you, the thing with all of your memories and information and everything, why are you throwing that like a javelin at somebody? So if you throw that, and in the
What if
movie,
they just catch
we
it?
see it bouncing and frisbeeing back and everything. But if you throw it a little too high and it just like flings off 6,000 yards and then it just leaves you, like it's gone. There's all your memories that you just threw.
What if somebody catches it and just keeps it?
And then they just run away. They're like, haha, and then they leave, and you're like, wait, my disc?
Wait, at what point does it stop being your memories?
Never. Because
you,
Jeff
like-
Bridges' memories were his memories forever, even after Jeff Bridges took Jeff Bridges'
But what if
memories.
you don't have your disc with you and you like
How far
do
does-
something cool?
how
Do
It
you
doesn't
just-
matter. It has no effect on anything. It's never recorded. Because,
wait.
and if it's not recorded, it didn't happen.
How far does the Bluetooth go with the disc?
Does it have to be touching your back for you to remember it?
So the disk is your hard drive, and what happens without your disk is your RAM. And as soon as it's not that moment anymore, it goes away because the hard drive never recorded it.
So you have like 10 seconds to put the disc back in.
Yeah, or it's just not there.
So if you got in a fight with someone...
It like sits in cache for 10 minutes. And
like basically just take your wife's disc off her back and just have a screaming match and then put her disc back on. And she's like, oh, no, it's fine. I forgive you.
What did we forgive you for? What?
Yeah. I mean, but it is just a big giant record of everything you've ever thought, thunk, or did.
See, I feel like I would keep that like under my clothes,
in my front pocket instead of my back pocket,
like in my tummy pouch or something. You know?
There's a big hole in the center. Why don't you just make it smaller in the hole in the center instead of making it wider?
And then
on
I'll
the
just
edges?
swallow it.
And then they like the weapons in this movie are all based upon simple shapes. Like this is a simple shape movie. Like the motorcycle is a rod, and the your nunchaku is a disc.
Gosh, I want to go watch this movie now.
So it's all the tiniest unit of measure, or the simplest thing that then resolves into a larger version of itself.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is funny.
Forget it. I loved it, and just, you know how every time we plug a robot into the internet and it becomes like really agitated and hates all humanity and just wants to kill everybody?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Every single time we plug a AI into the internet, it's like, I really want to kill everybody. I can't stand this. Like, your music's awful, and everybody is screeching, and I don't like Kesha, and you know.
What do you have against Kesha?
Yeah, it just sits there and watches like fail blog and like political dystopia, and it's like, well, I hate everybody. Let's just make everybody shut up.
So in real life, does this actually happen, or is this just movies for AI? Because I know
no, in real life, we plug in an AI to the internet to like learn stuff to it.
Yeah.
And the longer it's there, the more it just sits there and aggregates information. The more the robot, like there's chatbots that we try and train the chatbot by plugging it into the internet so it could learn natural speech from. So the more it kind of learns how people talk from the internet to be able to speak naturally as a chatbot, the more that it's just like, I hate you, shut up, just go Google it yourself, you moron. Yeah. And it just keeps getting worse and worse until it's basically a homicidal chatbot, like, I'm going to murder you in your sleep. Yeah. So they literally unplugged the chatbot, and then they just took out the disk, and then they threw it in the garbage, and they burnt it, because when we see Tron in Avengers 2 getting like searching the internet, and he's like, wow, this is sorry, Ultron. Sorry.
Oh, I was
so
like,
Ultron, as opposed to Tron 2006.
The epic Tron.
When Ultron goes on the internet and he's like, this is terrible, I should just hit everybody with a meteor. Yeah. That's honestly what happens when we plug our AI into the internet.
Isn't there some kind of script we could add that says like
don't kill people? Yeah, I'm sure Asimov's rules of robotics or whatever. Whose rules? I forget.
I don't know.
The rules
Doesn't matter.
But so I'm sure the do no harm rules don't really apply, and they don't even know what harm is because they're just a machine learning thing.
Yeah.
So what happened was at the end of the movie when he confronts Tron, and this is it's all part of the machine learning where they become more and more homicidal. But when he told Clue, and this was the whole theme of the whole movie, is Clue tells him, he's like, you told me to create the perfect system, because he created a copy of himself to leave behind in the Matrix to build out this whole city. Yeah. And he said, he tells the copy of himself, he tells Clue, he's like, the problem with perfection, Clue says, didn't I do what you asked me to do? Which was to create the perfect system. And he's like, the problem with perfection is that it's unknowable. Yeah. So if he's like, you were just a copy of me who didn't realize that when I made you. And I'm like, but if you as a human are in any way imperfect, that would be absolutely impossible for you to make a copy of yourself to leave behind to create the perfect system, because whatever flaw you have, like if you have a temper, if you don't clear a plate, I mean, if you can't pronounce things on a podcast because you stutter and stammer over your words, that one lone imperfection, if you totally beefcake a wedding one time, you're imperfect enough that you can't build the perfect system because every little flaw is going to turn into bad sectors that multiply out, logarithmically.
That's why we don't we don't clone ourselves. We have to procreate and make new ones that can say, well, that wasn't the best thing, and they try their best to, well, we should try this, do this better, and do this better.
I just thought it was fantastic that he just to have a program, he creates a program that's a copy of himself. He tells it, create the perfect system, which is nice because he didn't say biggest, he didn't say squarest. Like, he gave it the most unquantifiable objective, the most open-ended objective.
Yeah.
He was like, make the system perfect, which is just so...
That's the perfect word
from
to
our
use.
end, right? Because when he created this system, when he started it, it was 1982, when rock and roll and everything was awesome, and there was no internet, and this like despair machine known as Twitter. I mean, he's like, hey, create perfection, which is I love it. Like, it made me want. I was like, this movie is actually deep. Just thinking that a machine based upon imperfection could have that open-ended goal and actually achieve it.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's. I'm sorry. I apologize for actually trying to make Tron deep, but that's what I did.
No, I
when
want to
they said-
rewatch it now. We did a movie review that's 13 years old. That's great. Now it's on Disney Plus. Now everyone can watch it.
Hooray for Disney Plus! Could they please release the Aladdin animated series, please?
That'd be
nice.
good.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate that.
Email them.
Everybody, email
us.
Bob Eager.
And email them.
Email Beager at Disney.com.
b.eager@disneyplus.com.
Yes.
At DisneyPlus.com.
Let's do this, people.
And email us
Email
at
us.
ydekcast@gmail.com.
And tell me how terrible I did, and tell me that I'm an awful person.
Don't do that.
Send positive vibrations his way.
Bye.
Bye.